Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read you this. Biden's press office asked journalists to send questions in advance, drawing mixed reaction from reporters. Wow, that's fair. Could you imagine? If Trump had this luxury in addition to the benefit of just universally positive media coverage? I mean, not only has Biden received a honeymoon, but they're in love with him like you cannot believe. If this isn't just one of the many examples that show there's a double standard in American politics, not just a double standard, there's every single benefit Democrats have combined with every single, possible disadvantage Trump had to deal with. But I want to read you. Biden's press office asked journalists to send questions in advance, drawing mixed reaction from reporters. You want to know what Joy Behar said? Biden team wants questions in advance to speak truth, avoid spin. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. View co-host insists media will keep Jen Psaki honest. They would call her out. No, they wouldn't, Miss Behar. No, they wouldn't. We all know this. This is it's unbelievable, but also it's it's par for the course. It's very believable. And this is unbelievable. This is hilarious. Reporters recently complained about White House press staff asking for questions ahead of time. Doing so would give the appearance reporters are working with the administration. Yeah, because they are. Some reporters, however, say that giving the press office a heads up is routine practice. Really? When was the last time that happened with Trump? There was this absurd theater of the macabre. This, with the White House press corps and Trump, and President Trump, it was daily performance art. Daily performance art. Where you had journalists trying to outdo one another in spewing contempt against President Trump. They had competitions. Who could show the most disdain and contempt? Who could be the most belligerent against the president, the 45th president of the United States of America? It was unbelievable. You had, what's his name, from CNN refusing to give a microphone to one of the White House staff. A woman was trying to wrestle a microphone away from, what's his name, at CNN. And that wasn't viewed as, out of bounds by the same apoplectic, seething, morally superior, I say this in jest, liberals on Twitter. That was just okay. Oh my God, if the tables were turned, can you believe what he did? But, again, hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're back on our way to 200,000 subscribers. Get this segment going. We're going to talk about this a lot more and the political ramifications. Tell your friends about this channel if you want to read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Roanoke Times, the Federalist. Go to hagoodman.com. You can see my debates there as well. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. Let's just read this right now. On her first day in office, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki pledged to bring truth and transparency back to the briefing room, saying she had deep respect for the role of a free and independent press. How are they independent if she's getting questions in advance? See, here's the problem. But less than 2 weeks into President Joe Biden's administration, reports are raising concern about White House press office staffers trying to get them to give advance notice on which questions they plan to ask briefings, the Daily Beast reported. So, here's the issue. They don't care about hypocrisy. They don't care about transparency. They don't care about the impression or the hint of impropriety or the admission to the world that the press is in the tank for Biden. They don't care. So, nothing's going to be done about this. There won't be any outrage. You have Joy Behar saying, it's fine. Not a problem. In fact, it's even great. It's even better. They never gave Trump the benefit of the doubt, or they never allowed him to be president. Now, Like I said, we have to learn. There were missteps. We have to learn we have to make sure that we champion and amplify the accomplishments, which were plentiful. First president stepped foot in North Korea to begin détente between North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in is asking Biden's administration to continue what Trump started. President Trump allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, made that funding permanent. Trump presided over the Abraham Accords, peace between Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco. He renegotiated NAFTA into the USMCA. We had record low unemployment, record low black and Latino unemployment throughout most of President Trump's tenure. The pandemic wasn't his fault. You can look at the New York Times statistics. The worst outcomes have taken place, unfortunately, in Democratic-run states. So, ladies and gentlemen, definitely, I can go on forever. We have we have a long list of accomplishments. I don't think that the best thing to happen to President Trump is that he's no longer on Twitter. So that's going to tank Twitter eventually, and it's the best thing for President Trump. But, for example, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, my God almighty, if she said offensive things, whatever it is that she said, she should apologize for. If I know that people are going to say, "That's not true. She should fight." We learn. This is like something we should learn in the last 4 years. Double standards. Yes, the left makes, horrible, racist, bigoted statements. They get away with it. They say sorry. I'm not talking about double standards. I'm not talking about, kowtowing to anybody. The point, though, is in politics, you cannot make bigoted or offensive statements. You just can't. If you do, you need to apologize. At least apologize or acknowledge. I haven't even seen exactly what she stated, but the reports have been, she said something to this. Now, if she didn't say anything bigoted, if Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't say anything bigoted, she should explain, hey, I didn't say that. But there needs to be a dialogue. You cannot go down with the ship with every, controversial statement or individual. President Trump was able to get away with certain tweets, certain things. He would take a baseball bat and just hit this hornet's nest called Twitter, or the liberal sphere of political influence, and bash it with a bat. And then the hornets would come out and he'd run away. And he would do that all the time. That was not good for promoting a national dialogue discourse. It took away from his achievements, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to say. We have to learn. We have to learn from, if you're in a position, whether it's you're a representative, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or you're the president of the United States, a populist movement is good. You want anti-interventionist. The main thing that he did was reverse U.S. foreign policy. No more interventions and regime changes with President Trump. That's the best thing. People don't remember that now. You're dealing with media that look what's happening now. They're giving questions in advance. So you're fighting a losing battle. You're not let's say there's any victory with Marjorie Taylor Greene where she doesn't ever apologize or doesn't ever acknowledge that she said something wrong or whatever. That's a Pyrrhic victory. You're not winning long term. You're just giving fuel to Democrats to spin or, put words in her mouth, which then will spin and put words in the mouth of Trump and Matt Gaetz and Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan and everyone around President Trump and Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. So she'll be Trump now, except she doesn't have all the other, President Trump was a president. He was a billionaire. He had accomplished great things. There's a lot of reasons why he was able to just take that bat and bash the hornet's nest of liberal outrage. He did that too many times, though. And instead of creating a national dialogue, discourse, debate, it was two sides, two opposing camps, and they have media, so they got to define President Trump when he should be completely redefined for who he actually is. You don't want to give them the ability to completely set the narrative. And if the rebuttal, I know that I have amazing viewers, the rebuttals, oh, that's not true, you're fine, you should fight. You don't go down with the ship for a representative. So again, look, the left, you have to understand the political context here also, ladies and gentlemen. The left is dealing with a mutiny. It's a mutiny on the bounty. They are being seen for who they are by the left. The left wants Medicare for all. Jimmy Dore is a hero. By the way, like, I support President Trump. If Medicare for all was feasible, fantastic. I used to be on the left. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. The unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Bernie Sanders is a tool of the Democratic Party. So are a lot of the progressive politicians. They just funnel left-leaning votes back into the Democratic Party. They channel the angst, frustration, anger, resentment, hopes, dreams, ideals of the far left, and channel them back into the Democratic Party for votes. Okay? It's a giant racket there. It's a giant racket. And they're very sly. Somebody makes a bigoted statement. Well, they oppose all bigoted statements in a big resolution. So you could do something like that with the Republican Party and Marjorie Taylor Greene. But you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it, because then you have people defending Liz Cheney, and she's the good Republican. Marjorie Taylor Greene's the bad Republican. And acknowledge the concern. For the love of God, acknowledge the concern with Marjorie Taylor Greene. People still don't realize she's disavowed the nonsensical, irrational, dangerous QAnon message board nonsense. The most absurd, stupid hoax that's ever existed. And unfortunately got a great many good people to believe in message boards. Okay? I debated Jordan Saylor 2 years ago. I exposed it for what it is, a dangerous, absurd, nonsensical, irrational cyber hoax. I was right 2 years ago. I told everyone to delete your Twitter account. I don't have a Twitter account. I haven't had a Twitter or Facebook account for 2 years. But the left is going through a lot of issues right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene gets them to just focus on, a bad Republican. And, Liz Cheney's a good Republican, even though Liz Cheney's been excommunicated basically from the GOP. Still, though, it's this circus, this smoke and mirrors illusion that they can focus on, instead of dealing with what they have to on the left. The left is saying, hey, wait a second, why aren't we getting these policies you promised? Now, the media and Democrats can say, oh, well, there, we might have lied to you, but look at Marjorie Taylor, look. And so acknowledge it as a political party. If she made bigoted statements, explain. If she didn't, she should say, I didn't make those statements. I was referring to this geopolitical issue in this country or whatever. Or, I don't know what she was. If she made bigoted statements, she should apologize for them. It's not rocket science. Or explain why they weren't. But there needs to be a discourse and dialogue. She could go on CNN, MSNBC tomorrow. Or she could go, if you say, well, why should you go on that CNN, MSNBC? Well, what if she didn't say anything wrong? She can explain and give examples of why they're spinning and manipulating her words. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is no longer should you go down with the ship as a political movement. Okay, just for one Pyrrhic victory. What President Trump was doing the past year was he would do some great things, and then a tweet would send them completely bonkers, the left, and they wouldn't focus on anything else. They became more rabid, more belligerent. The White House press corps was actually not only combative, insulting. They weren't just getting angry and belligerent and insulting and demeaning towards President Trump. They actively were spewing this disdain for him. And now Biden gets questions in advance. So you have to ask yourself, why is this happening? If there's nothing we could do at this point because there's no opposition political party saying, hey, wait a second, that's ridiculous, that's absurd, then you deal with it, you address, learn from the mistakes that have been made, build from the accomplishments and successes, and move on as a political movement to transform the Republican Party. Obviously, it's the height of duplicity and hypocrisy for them to get questions in advance. I mean, they got questions. Hillary Clinton over Biden. Biden, I think, got questions. During his wonderful run for president, he got questions in advance. So they have every conceivable possible advantage. Don't give them more of an advantage, people. For everyone that says, "Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene is great," she should acknowledge and simply apologize, or acknowledge so they don't have to make her into this monster to take away from the achievements of President Trump and other Republicans. Because it's not about some principle now. The principle should be, if indeed she stated something horrendous, she should either explain she never said that or apologize for it. But see, again, you're not dealing with a media that's fair. You have to play an unfair media in the way you have to address it in the manner it should be addressed, not in the manner you wish it to be. But hit subscribe right now. They're getting questions. It's really hilarious. They spent every single day trying to disparage and demean and undermine President Trump. Every single day. Every single day. It was unbelievable. And it's like, now they get questions in advance, and it's like, and then you have Joy Behar saying, that's a great thing, it's actually even better. It's like, no. There is no free press. There's no independent press. The press is composed of Democratic activists. Okay, in 2000, if you had Peter Jennings or Ted Koppel or David Brinkley covering the 2000 Gore, Bush election, nobody cared. Peter Jennings, Ted Koppel, they didn't care who won. They were completely removed. Walter Cronkite was completely removed, except for one moment that he talked about Vietnam. He was generally completely removed from the outcome of any event. He didn't care at all if Republicans won or Democrats won. Now you have CNN, MSNBC, and NBC and CBS and ABC are really no different. They're really no different. Give me your thoughts below. They're all in the tank for the Democratic Party. It's just a matter of the degree they're in the tank for the Democrats. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back numerous times.